Hi everybody, my name's Erebus and welcome to the first episode of my tutorial builds. First of all, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing roads. So let's have a look at this road behind me here. I'll just have a little run along it for you and I'll show you what it looks like. So there you go, as you can see as we're moving along it, you can see there's little items every now and then, bits and bobs, some rustic fences and walls. And if you have a look at the floor, as we're moving along, you'll start to see a slow transition between what looks like a normal country road and then steadily becoming more and more urbanised. But if we run back through it, if we run back the other way, you'll see what I mean, and it changes back again slowly. Because your roads, they should have a slow transition between, you know, urban and countryside, and that's what we've tried to capture here, as you can see. And adding the little fences along it. If you don't have anything along your road, they can end up being quite boring. Nothing really much going along them. You don't even have to add as much as what I've added here. I mean, just along this road, just added little bits. Add some bushes in the background. And you can see here, like when you're putting it together, you're kind of thinking, "Ah, that looks a bit crap. That looks a bit crap." But then once it's all put together, you can see how much it makes the place look alive. You can make it even look more than that by, you know, adding in the occasional flower. I personally recommend adding in like these two block high flowers every now and then. And look, there you go. Look at the difference that just adding those flowers to that area has made from before to now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to discuss a bit about how you make these roads. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to my other world, and I'll show you there. So there we go, guys. Here's some of the road ideas that I normally use. We'll start with that horrible looking blank path over there, and we'll just have a quick talk about that one. So over here is what you commonly see people using at the moment. They'll either do something where it's all one block type, and you'll see gravel, or you'll see grass paths, or you'll see cobble. But to be honest, roads don't look like that. Paths don't look like that. If you're struggling for resources, don't do a big path like that. Do this. Make it a bit more patchy. And then just chuck in a bit of bone meal, not a block, chuck in a bit of bone meal like that. And as you can see, it makes the place look a lot more alive and a lot more like something that's going on there. Next we have this path over here. This is using 3 different blocks. That's all it's using. In fact, you could even say that doesn't count, and neither does that one, because they're basically the same block. But all you've done is you've just added in a random texture of these. And again, all you've got to do to liven it up a little bit, add a bit of plants, just stick it there, add a bit of greenery. And this is this is for country roads. There you go, add a bit of greenery. Moving on to the next one, I recommend using this for like a forested area. If we get some trees, we'll use some oak trees because they're the easiest to grow. So you imagine you're walking through a forested area, or even like a farmyard, and these are quite good for doing that. This I can't remember how to pronounce it, but you all know what block that is. And again, this is just grass paths, coarse dirt, and that block. But if we give you an example, so we'll stick a couple of trees down, add a bit of grass in between, and there you go. As you can see, that path already looks a lot more alive, a lot more like it's in the middle of the countryside, and just looks, well, in my opinion, certainly better. Then you've got an area where it might be a bit more worn. We're now moving on, to say, to like 4 blocks at a time, and you've got this going on here. So you've added in a bit of gravel. You're getting a bit closer to town. You might start to see farm buildings in the distance, and little bits, and maybe a bit of farmyard here and there. And with that, again, all you're doing is you're just adding a bit of plants every now and then. Maybe not the ones that are too high just yet, but there you go. You're adding a bit of that. As well as that, what you're doing is you're just adding the occasional little fence post maybe, or something just to embellish that area a little bit. So all I'm going to use here is I'm just going to use logs, some stripped spruce logs, spruce planks, and some fences. So all we're going to do is we're going to stick 1 or 2 there. So stick 1 there, put that one out of the way. Don't do it in a straight line. Put 1 there, and this side we're going to use logs instead. We'll just do that, and stick a fence post, because that's what you want to do. Is like with your fence post, you don't want the fence all the way along to be the same height if you're not actually using it for any sort of animals. And then just every now and then add a bit of fence onto it. Add a bit of fence on, nothing too fancy. And you know, like to yourself, you might be thinking, "Oh, that looks rubbish" when you first add it. But believe me, once you start adding the other parts to it, it will really start to come alive. And yeah, there you go. So just all I've done there is I've added a few little bits, and you know, I'll add a bit more grass. Believe me, grass can absolutely work wonders on your builds. But like with this random texture that you've got, and there you can see it's made it come a lot more alive. We come over here again. This time we've gone up to 5 different blocks. Now we're definitely, you know, you've got farmhouses on the side of the road. You can have little cobblestone walls and that sort of thing going on. I'll just grab some cobblestone and that here, and I'll show you what I mean. So a bit of moss, bit of that. There we go. Where's the walls? There we go. We'll add that one and one of those. Right. So what we're going to do is just going to come down here, and again we're going to do the same thing there, same principle. Add one of those there, add one there, and then bits fallen down. Maybe the wall's completely fallen on its side. Raise up certain parts of the wall just so it's not all the same height. And then just randomly add a few little bits in. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't even. You can even do that. There you go. And then again, just add some plants. But it's very important when you're adding this grass to anything that's actually on the road itself. Don't make it too high. Don't obscure it too much. But if it's on the side, there you go. So you've got these 2 block high grasses. If it's on the side, it's fine. That's fine. But then you've got over here, and like if you wanted to embellish it even a little bit more, if we can get get some fence posts, and well, I just add one of those there. Let's have a look. Where have we got get a lantern. And what should we go for? Shall we go for... Nah, do you know what? That's fine. We'll stick down one of those. Stick down a little cobble wall. Go up 2 or 3. Don't have to be nothing special. Put one there. Go up another one. Put one there. And then what you've got a little random light along the way. It just makes it look a little bit less boring when you're walking along the path. It's not protecting you. It's not giving you anything special, but it's just adds in something a little bit more as you're walking along. And here we go. Now you've got it. We're now up to 6 blocks, 6 different blocks. We're definitely into an urbanised area now. This is the kind of road you might expect to see just in the last sort of like 100, 200 blocks before you're about to enter a city. And you've got all sorts going on. You might have a little bit of a thicker wall going on along the side. We're just going to add some bits of this again along there. There you go. See, and you can see what I mean. And you've just got a bit of wall going on. In fact, you might even start to see bits of bush. But again, with the bush, you can add that sort of anywhere. You can have it 1 block high, 2 blocks high. But whatever you do it as like as a step. You know, this isn't a feature garden. This is still supposed to be out in the country. So you're just adding little bits here and there. You know, you might even want to chuck in a little bit of fence, because I say it's not doing anything here. It's just being added along. And then, you know, as I said before, just add the grass. Add a bit of grass. There you go. Get rid of that bit of grass. And again, along the sides, it looks absolutely fine. And there you go. See, and it looks a lot more alive again. So we'll just have a look at some of the flower options we've got. So we've got some red flowers, some different colours of purple, and again you can make these, we'll go back to the beginning, but you can make these paths look absolutely fantastic with just adding the occasional something a little bit more interesting along it. There you go. But you'll see what I mean by with this path, it doesn't have quite the same effect, because there's nothing in the middle, and paths, they just aren't that clear. Again, we'll just this path here, we'll just add a red rose there, one there. There you go. Something a little bit different. You're walking through the forest, and much like when you're walking through your actual Minecraft worlds, you've got very scenically placed flowers. Like you might have a bit there. Yeah, have a little one just under the tree. But, you know, just dot them around a little bit, and it'll make it come a lot more alive. You could even hide lights in the tree if you wanted to. Same with this area. I'm not going to go into it too much with that, but you can see what I mean. It does change it quite a lot and adds in a lot of different textures and pattern. Not patterns, but that's because that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid patterns. And there, you know, we might have a red one there, and it just makes it look a lot more alive. And then with these walls, when you're getting more into the city sort of area, you want to put them behind walls and behind bushes to make them look more like they're part of the actual scenery themselves. So we just zoom back out there. There you go. See, and you've added that. Now the last thing I'm going to talk about before we move on is how to go up a hill. I see a lot of people where you'll go up and you have to walk along it and jump up like this, and it's very tedious and it uses up your food bar. But the purpose for roads is to make travel easier. So if you're going to be using a path a lot, make it easier. Step it back a bit. They don't all have to be uniform. It doesn't all have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be a half slab, 2 blocks, a half slab, 2 blocks. As long as it follows this sort of pattern where you're going up gradually, so you can walk up it, because that will save you hunger in the long run when you're doing long journeys on paths that you've made. But here you can see there's a lot more complexity to it, and try and keep to the same sort of colour palette or the same palette of blocks as you're going along. But I'll demonstrate with this again just how you can just add in a few little bits here and there can really change how a road build looks. Because a lot of people, I'll see them put loads of effort into how they build their buildings, but then there's surprisingly little effort put in when they're building their roads. And your roads, they're as much as part of the build as your buildings are themselves. Like, your build might be filled with all the imagination of a fantasy world or a cityscape or something like that, but if your roads look plain and boring, travelling between places also just looks plain and boring. So you just add in a few bits in, and you back to my favourite, back to the grass, and you just add in bits here and there. There you go. And you don't want them too high, as I say, on the road, so just one. There you go. Flower, that'll do. A flower there, and you know, there you go. So you've got some little bits, and you can see how much that's transformed it. And I'll just go along now, and I'll just add the occasional little flower, because that really breaks up that mundane greens and browns, and it really changes it into something that looks a lot more aesthetically pleasing as you're travelling up. So you can quite imagine yourself walking through the countryside, ascending this hill, and that's really what I'm trying to say. So just before I leave you guys, obviously I've shown you all that road work, but what you're really here to see is how to do that kind of random textured path. And it's a lot easier than it sounds. You've just got to kind of think of where would you be and how much of those materials would you be expected to see when you're traveling along. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a quick example of how to do a random pattern as you're making a road. So we're just going to come down to here, and we're just going to do a road from along this flat bit here. I'm not going to make it too complicated. So you're just going to go just a little one there, a little bit. Sometimes even less is more. So there you go. So you've just got a little bit like that, a little bit of road, nothing too fancy, and then it's just going to go along. And now we're in the countryside here. There's nothing much going on. You've just a bit of gravel, just one there. You know, every now and then just chucking in a gravel block. Nothing too much. Dirt. Obviously, you're out in the countryside again. You're going to see a lot more dirt. So add that dirt in. Just stick it in all over the place. Because at the end of the day, you can always take it out if you think it's too much at the end. But sometimes, you know, like the countryside doesn't always look absolutely uniform. And then with the paths, make sure you leave the occasional one, you know, maybe in the middle. Don't completely cover the middle. I mean, even there, like I've left loads of them in the way. There's a path there, a bit there, and then you can just make it random. Just make it random like that. Now at the moment that looks quite plain. But we said it earlier on, so we'll show you again. Bit of bone meal. Don't be afraid of using a bit of bone meal. I know you've all got skeleton spawners hidden all over the place, but there, just add it in. Add in a bit of grass. It really changes how a path looks, and that's a really basic and simple path right there. Really basic and simple, and it just looks far better than just doing a flat, boring road with nothing going on. And again, just you can just add bits of fencing and just bits of stuff along the side. Even that, just adding one fence post already makes that build look more alive. And we'll stick a few more there, like that. There you go. In fact, you know what? It could just be totally random. I'm just going to go mad. Just going to put little bits here and there, and look, that already changes the whole way of how that looks. Put a bit up there. In fact, we'll go nuts. We'll add some bushes. Add some little bushes. There you go. Changes how that looks. There you go. Just add in a little bit here and there, just to completely break up that image. Where's the flowers? And we'll add rose there. We'll add a rose there. Rose there. And there you go. And it just changes the entire way that path looks, and it just makes it look a lot more interesting when you're walking along. And as I say, that's just as important as your builds themselves. That's enough nattering from me. If you like this video, please let me know down in the comments, and if you did like it, I'll certainly do a number 2, and we'll do urban roads or other types of pathways. I'm going to be moving on to doing houses as well at some point, simple houses, and I'll be showing you how to do different things. But that's all for me now. Hope you have a lovely evening or day or wherever you are in the world, and thank you for watching.